And so I thought, that's interesting. The first time he set him down and let him out of his sight, the Moroni took him back. So why didn't he take him this time?
You are listening to Saints in the South.
All right, welcome to Season 2, Episode 53. We are Saints in the South, representing saints everywhere, and we are your source for gospel growth and good times.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we're looking to have a good time this morning, that's for sure. Hey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, whether you are watching on YouTube or listening on one of the many podcast platforms. A reminder to check out our website at saintsinthesouth.com. We have some cool features, and we will continue to update it as we move along. You can sign up to be notified via email when we release a new show, a new blog, or any other exciting information. If you're looking at the website on your mobile phone, just make sure you scroll down to the bottom on the home screen, and you'll see the option there. If you're looking at the site on a tablet or on your PC, then you should be able to see it right there at the top right. You can leave us a review and rate our show directly on the website as well. So please go and do that for us. We would greatly appreciate it. And we just might share it here on the show. And as a matter of fact, we do have one to share. We had one recently that was left by a man by the name of Jerry. Says Best of Southern and Best of Saintdom is the title of his review. Yes, right. He says, great podcast, great combination of authentic, good old boy Southern charm, demeanor, and style, mixed with the humble, spiritual, enlightened perspective any of us would anticipate from saints and servants of God. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jerry.
That's right. Hey, was that left by your dad, Andrew?
I doubt it. I don't think he knows what this is. So.
He's got more important things to do.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, yeah, we appreciate that very, very much. Hey, and he also gave us a 5-star rating.
Yes!
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, so y'all go ahead and find that review section. Find that review section and leave us a review there and give us a rating. We certainly appreciate it. So this week we are in Doctrine Covenant section 2, and then we finish up with Joseph Smith history, verses 27 through 65. And the title of it is The Hearts of the Children Shall Turn to Their Fathers. And so we're going to turn to Andrew at this time and let us give us our historical background to get us started.
Uncle Andrew.
So we just left off with Joseph Smith, tremendous faith of going to the sacred grove. He saw God and Jesus Christ. What a wow experience. That was in the spring of 1820. Well, about 3.5 years later, Joseph Smith being a teenager around his 17th year, he was being what's the word? Just being a youth, being a boy, just hanging out and just kind of, he was troubled about his soul again. Like he did going into the grove, he was worried about his soul. So they were having some Bible stories one evening and went to bed that night in their little log home. And he was on it's like 2 levels there, and he was up there sharing a room with his brothers. And he started praying, worried about his soul. He wanted to repent. And then all of a sudden he saw Moroni. And we've heard Moroni many times, but this is his first time hearing the word Moroni and seeing Moroni. And anyway, Moroni visited him, called him by name, told him that his name would be good for evil, good and evil. And he was actually visited 3 times that night and quoted some scriptures. One of the famous ones is one from Malachi, but others too. Joseph Smith, by the time the 3rd visit came, the rooster crow, he had to go out and farm. And he was working with Alvin and his dad, Joseph Smith Sr. And his dad started seeing that, hey, you're a little, kind of pale. Joseph didn't get much sleep. So Joseph Sr., his dad said, man, why don't you just go on home and get some rest or whatever? I could tell you're sick. And he goes over the fence, and as he goes over this wooden fence, he just passes out because he's tired.
Yeah.
And he sees Moroni again, so for the fourth time. And Moroni's like, "Hey man, did you tell your dad about our visit?" And Joseph's like, "Nah, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's going to believe me." And Moroni said, "No, you got to tell your dad." So he tells his dad, and his dad believed him and told him to act on it. And so right after that, Moroni told him about these golden plates a few miles down the road at a hill Cumorah. And he sees these plates. Moroni tells him about it, and Joe Smith goes to touch them, gets shocked 3 times. And he just wasn't ready. And this was September 22nd when this happened. And Moroni asked him to come every year on this same date, September 22nd. And he came for 4 years. And we could talk more. I could talk about each year, but we save that for another time, or as we're talking. But yeah, his 4th year, he ended up getting the plates.
Right.
And anyways, so during this time, he idolizes his brother Alvin. He dies. That, Moroni told him the first time to bring your brother Alvin. Well, the next year Alvin already died. He was heartbroken about that. So he started silver mining there in Harmony. He was hired by Josiah Stoll, and that's where he met Emma and fell in love with Emma. And that 3rd year or whatever, Moroni said, "Hey, you need to bring someone else with you." And he didn't know who, and it ended up being Emma the last year.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting there. So a lot of other cool, fun facts.
Yeah.
We can learn as we're journeying down this road.
Do this. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's a good overview there of what we're going to be kind of talking about. So I took the opportunity to read through, on the Saints volume and read read all the way through, this time period. And, I learned a couple things that I wasn't aware of. So Andrew mentioned, during that 3-year period between his 14th year and his 17th year, as he was basically, being a teenage boy that Andrew had talked about, he had actually was helping a guy dig a well, as far for work, to help pay for the farm and their home and stuff. Well, he ends up finding a stone, and knowing that back then, it was readily believed that stones, could help you find treasures and see things and so forth. Just as, it mentions in the book there as it's prophets of old and everything. So Joseph, he finds a stone and he thinks that this might be one of those stones. And so he ends up using it, and he does see things that the natural eye cannot see. And he shares that with his family, and they become pretty excited about it. As a matter of fact, they said that they saw it as a sign of favor from God for him. And as Andrew had mentioned, whereas Joseph, he was feeling pretty bad and pretty down about his teenage ways. He makes the point that that he didn't do any kind of grievous sin or anything, but again, at the same time, he wasn't trying to follow or know exactly what God wanted him to do during that time. So,
yeah. And for that reason, a lot of people started finding out that, hey man, this Joseph, he could look in this stone. And so that's part of the reason why he got hired from this wealthy Josiah Stoll to go silver mining, 2.5 hour car, driving in a car, 2.5 hours away, whatever, to Harmony, Pennsylvania.
150 miles. Yep.
150 miles. Okay. So I mean, he was kind of well
they didn't
known
have
in that
cars.
area.
So man, 150 miles back then was a lot further than it is today.
Yeah, it was horse and carriage or walking or, so, but he was just kind of like, this new kid in town. He finds this seer stone, and people start to trust him, like, wow, he can they just started believing that he was this seer. Some, and then some didn't.
That's right. I think it had both effects. People that were drawn to him and believed him, and at the same time, it started drawing more and more of the okay, here's this kid that has had this vision, right?
Yeah.
He saw God and Jesus, and now he's got this stone, and he's seeing things. He's kind of out there.
Oh yeah.
So when he went to Harmony, he was hired by this Josiah Stoll, and when he got there, Joseph even said, "Let's call this off. There's no silver here," and but they kept on working silver mining. Right. And Josiah, his grandson, took him to court and tried to prove him wrong. And even Josiah Stoll said positively know it to be true. I mean, he really believed Joseph. Like he didn't. He was embarrassed as his grandson took him to court. So
right.
So, anyways, but he was learning. He was learning to be a seer. I mean, there was a lot of young, and that's part of the reason why he couldn't get golden plates. He had to wait 4 years because he was immature. They were poor. He wanted at first, they were very poor. So here's these golden plates. Hey, let's get my family out of financial struggle. And he just wasn't prepared. He just wasn't prepared and mature. He was just very immature about it.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool how that's even mentioned in the Saints there, where, it talks about how Joseph Smith did think to himself, man, the thought crossed his mind that, man, if I could find some gold plates, man, I could sell this, and man, I could pull my family out of poverty. And I was just really, really struck by how open everything is now.
Right.
I know there's been a big move within the church, full transparency of church history and stuff like that, which, I've always felt like other things weren't necessarily hidden, but there are things about church history that aren't really relevant to our salvation, that, of course, we wouldn't learn in Sunday school. And a lot of people would start finding information that they, had never been told before and feel like they'd been lied to or something. So yeah, reading this, I actually read through it last night, was kind of shocked at, how it talks about everything, how Joseph considered selling the plates to support his family, and how he found the stone digging the well and started finding treasure and all that kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting to me. I love it, the way there's the full transparency here of everything that happened. It's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Everything. I do too, Kenny. I was listening to Andrew had sent us that link on from Gospel Tangents, where they interview several of the church historians. And is it Richard Turley?
Richard Turley.
He's the main guy over. I didn't realize. So it'd been over 100 years since a church history had been written, right?
Yeah, B.H. Roberts. Yeah. It's
a
church history like narrative or something.
Right. Yeah. And so in presenting this to the brethren and everything, they talked about putting it in narrative form like this, and putting it on a ninth grade reading level. I didn't realize that either. And they said they was going to make it interesting for that made people want to read it and everything and stuff. So I'm on the same boat, Kenny. It's very, very interesting that just to read all that and really see the background and the kind of the thoughts of Joseph. Andrew had mentioned the angel Moroni. Something else that I hadn't really realized as well is that whenever he was praying that evening to asking for forgiveness of sins, he was also wanting another vision. He had he knew that it had happened before. He hadn't had one in 3 years, and he went in there. He went in there fully confident that he was going to have another visitation of some sort. That's what he went there, and he went there looking for it, and he got it.
He got it.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, he got it. So yeah, he just wasn't ready, but got the time before he got the plates from Ron, I said, hey, you need to quit that treasure digging.
Right.
Bring somebody with you. He didn't know who it was, and he ended up marrying Emma, his sweetheart, and settled down, and rumor got out that every year Joseph was looking for these golden plates. So it was September 22nd, just after midnight, he gets it. And when he gets these golden plates, he didn't have a lockbox yet. So he actually took them out and put them in a hollow log. And then later on that day, or hours later, later on that day or next day, he goes gets them because people's wondering where these plates are at. They want this gold for themselves for gain. And that's when he was running down through the woods and knocked some dude out. Some dude tried to knock him out.
A few of them. I think there were three guys.
He runs back to his house at all tired and told one of his brothers to go get Hiram and get a lockbox, Hiram's wife, and then right there, he's like, man, Dad, can you help me locate my thumb back? Because he dislocated his thumb, So little cool fun facts about how important. Moroni was very, very strict about keeping up with those plates. I mean,
so
the one time he set him down for just a second and looked away.
Yeah, because he was looking
like,
at
come back next year.
Yeah, he was looking at the other stuff because he was thinking, this looks kind of nice. I might could sell this or something, But
I think it said he was actually thinking about just locking it up or something, like doing something with it or something.
Right.
But he just looked away from the plates for a moment, just set him down, just barely looked away from him.
Yep. So that was on that was on the second visit. That was on the second. I'm sorry. That was the first year he came back.
Yeah, first year he came back.
That was the first year he came back, and so what jumped out to me was the reason Moroni took him away. He said because the exact instructions were take the plates out and go straight to your house and hide them up, lock them up, right?
Yeah, with no delay. Yeah,
with no delay. And so when he takes them out, that's when he thinks about, well, hey, I need to cover this box back up, sets them down, and then he looks back and they're gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, now 4 years later, when he actually has the plates, again, he puts them in the log. So now they are out of his sight, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, that's interesting. The first time he set them down and let him out of his sight, the Moroni took him back. So why didn't he take him this time? He let him out of his sight. So what comes to my mind is, well, he's 4 years later, right?
Yeah, 1827. Yeah.
Yep. He's more mature. He's more prepared. Moroni knows now the intents of his heart.
Yeah.
He was still young that first time back and everything, and still susceptible to temptations and possibly not fully converted on fully protecting the plates at all cost. Whereas here we know now and saw from example that he was willing already. At this point, he's willing to die give his life up in protecting the plates.
Yeah,
and everything.
And there's people, again, they're knowing that he's this treasure seeker, and they look at it like the rumor got out. He's found these golden plates. So that's why right after midnight he went and go get them. Put them in a hollow log because people are out there looking. That's why he had to he got it, and then I think it was a day later when he just So he it was and people I have to remind myself, in order to be a doctor, you go to doctor for many years. In order to be a dentist, in order to be an engineer, you just don't happen overnight. Yeah. It takes years. It takes time, it takes studying time. Yeah. So, Joseph Smith was learning and preparing himself to become a prophet. He was learning these instructions and he was a man. I mean, man like all of us, he was an imperfect man who was learning to be a prophet. So,
well, go ahead, Kenny.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say, definitely like that's what I think it's a really good way of looking at it, because he was preparing during this time, and every time it's kind of like he was taking an exam or something, once a year, you're going to go back and take your exam and see if you're ready. It's like, nope, you failed again. Go back and study for another year. Try again.
So what is it? Is you got to get a bachelor's degree? Was it a 4-year degree to become a prophet?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he got.
That's good. That's funny.
Got a bachelor's degree in profiting. I don't know.
It was almost, hey, that first time, it was almost like Moroni was setting him up. I mean, it really was. I mean, he was like, I'm going to set this kid up here. Okay. And gave him these pinpoint exact instructions, knowing that whenever he takes them out, Joseph's going to think, oh wait, I got to close the box back up.
Yeah.
Moroni just sat there and waited. Yep, there you went. You just messed up, Jack.
And you got to think the time before that, he got shocked 3 times. So, when he finally got a hold of him, I would have thought, I would have followed Moroni's instruction with no delay, just go with it. But
right.
It seems that way. It seems like, you wouldn't want to let him out of your hands, man. After,
but he might have been afraid that they would shock him again. I don't know. No, just kidding.
Gosh, but yeah, I know that during this whole process of him talking about all of his foibles and everything,
right.
It does remind me of how young he was. He was only 14 when the first vision, and during these years, 14, the 3 years, he was still only 17 years old. It reminds me of the, like the youth, before COVID times when we actually went to church, had church activities. If you're hanging out in the hallways on a Wednesday night, man, these boys just running around like crazy, just like throwing balls at each other and doing all,
That's hey,
and they're insane. I mean, I imagine in my head, I'm thinking, man, that's exactly Joseph Smith was exactly like that. He would have probably, if we could talk to the people who knew him then, they would have probably thought the same way that we do about, all these boys when, Wednesday night activities at church, man. They're like,
that's right.
God, little Joe's, man, that's a wild kid, man. He's always running around acting crazy.
That's right. So yeah, so I've got a 14-year-old son. Dallin has a 15-year-old son. Kenny is Joey 17 or 18 yet?
18.
He's 8. So Kenny has an 18-year-old son, and it's he's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can trust my boy with some gold plates and a breastplate and sear stones yet.
You definitely have to remind them many times. So you got to. There's probably some beauty and wisdom with the 4 years and instructions. And one thing that we failed to mention, that Moroni would give them instruction and teach them when he would come those times on September 22nd. So right. There's and why September 22nd? Why September 22nd? So
good question.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You got an answer?
So I really don't know, but I do know Book of Mormon Central's got a really super short, sweet 2 or 3 minute video on how it's not a Jewish holiday, but a Jewish something with God making covenants with the Jewish people or with his children. So check it out. Like I said, it's
and that's why they're the scholars and we sit in the back of the class.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We give secondhand information. But
hey, just a couple more things about his stone that he had found and was using to see things and so forth. Andrew mentioned that on that last year coming back, that Joseph was supposed to bring someone with him, and he decided on Emma, by using that stone. Did y'all know that? So
I forgot about that. No,
yeah. So I read that again. I was reading through Saints, and I didn't know. So I'm loving the Saints, reading the Saints, man. It's I didn't realize that he turned to that stone that he'd been using, and it says that there it was Emma. He was shown that he should bring Emma.
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah, that's cool. Like I said,
that was before they had the magic 8 ball.
That's right.
Before they had a smartphone.
Yeah.
I don't know, just in my head, just when you said that, I was imagining like one of those little magic 8 balls, like magic 8 ball. Who should I take?
That's right. Who should I take to the 8th grade homecoming dance?
So these seer stones and these rods that were used, it was kind of an old tradition. So when Joe Smith was coming along, his generation was like, I don't know, but like his dad and grandfathers
were right.
They believed it. So it was so that's why we didn't hear about it for years. It was already kind of fading away. So it wasn't nothing new at the time. It was something old that people believed, like the rods. I have no idea how it works, but sometimes people use these rods or sticks to find a whale. Is that true?
Yeah. They'll take like a Y-shaped stick, and hold the handles, and it would pull down where there's water. As a matter of fact, I I don't know if I told you this before, but when I worked for a place here that built roads and stuff, and so I worked on the pipe crew, we're putting in water main and sewage lines and stuff like that. And these guys, they were trying to find the water lines one time, and one of the dudes on the crew like took a piece of I think it was copper wire, I can't remember, a piece of wire and bent it into like an L shape and held it in his hand, and it was just walking around. And I was kind of like, because those guys like to play pranks a lot, so I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. So you're gonna find the water line like using a little piece of wire. And they were like, no, it really works. This is how we do it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So they're like, no, try it. And they gave me the piece of wire and told me how to do it. You hold it in your hand really loose so it can move. And then you keep it balanced and you walk. So yeah, so I'm walking along. I have this wire in my hand and the wire moves. And we dig where the wire pointed to. And sure enough, there's a water line. And it was, I wouldn't have believed if I hadn't done myself, but stuff like that, it seems, I don't know what the explanation is to it. I know I've kind of looked into it a little bit, and it's still debated. A lot of people say it's fake or whatever, but I know that once I experienced it, I was shocked. I mean, I was like, this is crazy. You take a piece of wire, and this is how you actually find water lines before you dig. And they're like, yeah, that's what we do.
That's cool. Yeah, they didn't. It's amazing what they did before we had all this wonderful technology, isn't it?
Yeah. So definitely, yeah, it works. So there's stuff like that. It's interesting. And I know at the time, when Joseph Smith was young, that was how things, that there was no technology to do stuff like that. So that was just accepted. That's how things were done. And so yeah, things like divining rods and even seer stones would have just been commonplace. That would have been out of the ordinary at all for those people.
So he gets the plates September 22nd, 1827. Persecution's bad there in Palmyra. So then he goes back to Harmony, where his in-laws live, where he met Emma. And that's where 70%, a little over 70% is where the Book of Mormon was translated. But this is where he meets Martin Harris. Martin Harris gives him $50, helps him with the trip. And anyways, it's part of the Joseph Smith history part.
That's right. Yeah. So he was he had some debt, right? And he wasn't going. He still had some debt to pay there in Manchester, Palmyra area there, and that's where Martin Harris he had left to go and pray and ask Heavenly Father if he was a true prophet, because he wanted to be involved if it was, and to help him do everything possible. And then that's whenever he had told Joseph, he said, hey, I believe in what you're doing and everything, and here's $50. And so Joseph was able to pay off his debt and then have some money to travel. Again, they're traveling 150 miles.
Yeah.
On foot or horseback or wagon or whatever, down to Harmony, like you say there.
Real quick, Harmony, for you Office fans, is only like a few miles above Scranton, Pennsylvania. So it's actually in the Scranton stake.
Oh,
okay.
So for you Office NBC fans,
that's right.
Yeah. So it's in part. If you lived in Harmony, you'd be going to the Scranton stake there. So, anyways,
that's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, he gets Joseph Knight, who lives in that area in Harmony. He's borrowing his carriage, so he's kind of built a relationship with Joseph Knight,
right?
And he goes back to Harmony, and that's where he really he's married, translating the Book of Mormon, and really learning to become a prophet. So.
And we know that his in-laws are not very fond of him.
No.
Matter of fact, they refuse. He says Isaac, Hale refuses to allow him to do any of that in the home, unless he can see the plates. Yeah. And Joseph says, well, you can lift the box that I carry them in, but you can't look at them. Yeah. And it wasn't just Isaac. There were many people, his family, his parents, they, as soon as he came in that night and set the plates down in his shirt or whatever on the table, his father goes to take the shirt off to uncover them. And he says, whoa, you can't do that.
Yeah. You can feel it. You can feel it, but you can't.
That's
Yeah.
right. That reminds me of another thing that I meant to mention. During those couple of years where when Joseph would go off to obtain the plates, not knowing that Moroni wasn't going to let him get them yet. Whenever he comes back, his family's all sitting around the table just waiting with bated breath for him to come back in. Do you have them? Do you have them?
Yeah.
And of course, Joseph that third time on that third year says, "No, I don't." And his father says, "If I was there, I would have gotten the plate."
Yeah.
And it said,
Yeah. I would have got him.
Yeah, sure.
you would have. And Joseph says, "You do not know what you say, Father." And
Yeah.
he says, Moroni would not let me take them. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to remember Moroni. He's acting as a servant of God, a general authority or whatever. But he used to be a captain. I mean, I ain't talking about the other captain,
Right.
but he used to be. I mean, he survived 36 years in the woods. So
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to get our Moroni confused.
I thought that was funny though. I just envision telling my son stuff, like, man, what's wrong with you, man? You can do this, right? I'll do that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his father's and Joseph's like, nah. But
If I was there, I would have done it.
That's right. But at that time, Joseph was 20 years old because he didn't get the place until he was 21.
That's right.
So that was when he was 20 years old, and Joseph had told him that he wouldn't have done that, So, the other thing is the box that he was carrying them in. There's a picture of his older brother's Alvin and his box, and they said it's a possibility that is the box that he used. And it shows where Alvin's name is inscribed on the edges of it. I don't know if y'all seen that photo yet or not. It's pretty cool.
No,
I don't think I did.
No, but I've been to Harmony, and they actually got a box that they've made, and the weight, and it's about 50 to 60, 70 pounds, and it's kind of it's heavier. I lifted it up, but like my kids were lifting it, and it's kind of a little awkward, But yeah. His father-in-law wasn't too fond of him, even though Joseph told him there wasn't no silver mining happening here, even though he worked over there, and Isaac was all for it at the beginning. But yeah, even Joseph and Emma eloped. He asked permission and eloped, and and he ended up just down the road, not even far, building his own house. Joseph and Emma were a lot of
and one of the reasons that they had gone back, well, probably the main reason was because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
So they went back to Harmony there because she hadn't seen her family, I think, in over a year, and everything and stuff. So, and then it was also going to get him away from that heavy persecution he was experiencing and everything. So,
yeah. And we'll learn later, real soon, the Susquehanna River's right there. John the Baptist comes, and anyways, just but I know in Joseph Smith history, right here at the end of it, talks about Martin Harris getting some characters,
right,
and taking it to New York City to see that professor. Is it Charles Anthony? Something like that.
Yep, Charles Anthony.
Yeah, and anyways, but
that's a pretty good story in and of itself as well. He takes those takes the paper, the copied characters there, and Charles looks them over and then ends up giving him a certificate certifying that these are Egyptian characters. And Martin goes to leave, and he says, "Hold on a second, where did he get them plates?" And Martin says, "An angel gave it to him." And then he says, "Let me see that. Let me see that certificate." I'm thinking, if I'm Martin, I'm like, "Hold on a second. What you want my certificate now for?"
It's mine now.
But it just kind of goes back to the time, being very respectful and everything. And Martin probably had in the back of his mind, I wonder what he's doing now, but also being very respectful at the same time. And so, politely hands it back to him. And of course, Charles tears it up and says, he says, won't you just tell him to bring those plates to me, and I'll take care of them. And he talks about them being sealed, and you can't do it. And Charles' response is, "I can't read a sealed book."
Yeah.
Right. And that takes us to
Isaiah, right?
Isaiah.
Yeah, fulfillment of prophecy.
That's right. Isaiah chapter 29, verses 11 and 12. And you know that whenever Martin goes back, sees Joseph is still at this time, he's very, very early in translating, hadn't even really figured out how to translate yet. And you know what Joseph tells him? He says, I'm not a learned man. He says, I can't do this. And so that's exactly what 11 and 12 talks about. It talks about a man saying that he is, that I can't read a sealed book. And then another man saying that I'm unlearned and I can't translate basically and stuff. So there's a fulfillment of prophecy. So
prophecy's getting fulfilled. So to go back to that first visit when Joe Smith was repenting,
right?
There's some scriptures that Moroni quotes or tells them, and that in the Malachi, and this is in D&C too. It's only 3 verses, but the 3 P's, the priesthood, promises, and penalties, and it talks about the promise made to the fathers, the hearts of the children shall turn to their fathers. So, anyways, any thoughts on D&C too? Just 3 verses. We can all read a verse apiece. You want to do that?
Yeah.
I'll start it off. Behold, and this is the priesthood part. Behold, I will reveal unto you the priesthood by the hand of Elijah the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord.
And he shall plant in the hearts of the children the promises made to the fathers, and the hearts of the children shall turn to their fathers.
Then the penalty. Jackson's going to give us the penalty.
If it were not so, the whole earth would be utterly wasted at his coming.
So, kind of short and sweet there, but
that's a big statement, though.
Yeah, really, really big statement. And Elijah does come, in Kirtland there, so that prophecy gets fulfilled.
Right.
So,
and just think about the hearts of the children turning to their fathers, right? That's the living generations, right, turning to those that have passed away, and just think about how much interest there is in family history outside of the church. You've got ancestry.com. You've got those DNA tests that a lot of people do now. And so there's a lot of interest of family history research and everything out there. It's not just members of the church and our church. So pretty cool.
Yeah. People love it. Yeah. They definitely love it. So
fulfillment of prophecy.
Yeah. So in a sense, Moroni told Joseph that he would be a big instrument in saving the world, really, just really helping out. And because there at 3, it says, if not, the whole earth would be utterly wasted at his coming. Right.
So there were three things that I personally pulled from this section. There were this week's study. One is failure is part of our growth. Right. Joseph failed several times before he obtained the plates. Right. And so I just thought of that in our own lives. He was learning how to be a prophet. The angel Moroni was preparing him to be a prophet. And so in my mind, remember that it's okay to fail as humans, so if you have things out there that you're wanting to accomplish, that you're wanting to go after, don't be afraid to fail. Joseph very easily could have given up during that time. 4 years for a young individual, that's a long time, right? And you can understand why he became distracted, and it took him that long because he had to keep kind of refocusing. As a matter of fact, on that third visit, Moroni told him, "You've got one more chance to get yourself aligned with God.
Yep.
If you come back, if you're not, then that's it. You will never obtain the plates." So that's some pressure. That's some pressure there. And stuff. So the second thing is that there is a purpose for all of us in this life, and by God's help, we can know that purpose, as promised by President Nelson. President Nelson said, "Ask your Heavenly Father in the name of Jesus Christ how he feels about you and your mission here on earth. If you ask with real intent, over time, the Spirit will whisper the life-changing truth to you. I promise you that when you begin to catch even a glimpse of how your Heavenly Father sees you and what He is counting on you to do for Him, your life will never be the same. And so, I mean, that's really taken from the blueprint of Joseph Smith. Once he fully committed to doing what God wanted him to do, then his life was forever changed. And then the final thing is that no matter the visions that we have or the miraculous events that take place in our life, that our trials and our tests, our time on this life, it does not end. We have to keep pushing forward, keep exercising faith. So Joseph had the first vision. He had the experiences with Moroni and everything. And even with those experiences, he still continued to kind of fall back and so forth. So it just goes to show that no matter what great event takes place, spiritual event takes place in your life, you have to keep going about it day by day. You have to keep on striving, basically.
That's right. Yeah.
So those are the three things that I took away from this week's lesson. So
yeah, failure. That one really stood out. The thing that it reminded me of was Thomas Edison. I'm sure we've all heard about Thomas Edison working on inventing the light bulb. One of the greatest inventions ever that changed the world. He had a neighborhood of 1,000 failed attempts.
Right.
That's crazy to me. I love that story because that's testament to the power of perseverance right there. Because you got to think too, it wasn't 1,000 times where he just, tried to figure out a math problem on paper or something. This is 1,000 times of constructing something out of, glass and metal and all this, so it was a lot of work. I can imagine. If I'd have failed probably 3 times, I'd probably be like, man, I'm done. This is dumb.
No lots here.
7 or 8 times would be ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine, I couldn't imagine doing it 10 times.
Right.
That would be each one of those, took a long time of work and put this thing together, but he had it in his mind. He was like, dude, I know this will work, and it just blows my mind to think he tried 1,000 times before he finally but he finally did. So, it tells me that, if we just keep on striving, we'll get there.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how many times you fall. It's how many times you get back up.
Exactly. Right. Yep. That's right. It's about getting back up for sure. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the show here. Until next time, y'all keep on striving. Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the show. We want to take a second and let all of you know that we greatly appreciate all of the likes, the follows, comments, and interaction you have given us so far. We really want to keep growing our subscriber base, so please subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platform or follow us on YouTube, and don't forget to hit that bell for all notifications. Like our page on Facebook, and you can also join in on our Facebook podcast group where we create some interactions. You can follow us on Instagram as well as on Twitter. We do have a Patreon account. Currently, we are periodically putting up bonus material, and right now you can contribute however much you would like. There is no minimum amount required. Those contributions are being used strictly for improving and growing our show with additional equipment and marketing. Finally, you can find all of these links on our website at saintsinthesouth.com. You can subscribe to our email list and be notified. Please leave us a review and a rating through the website or on the platform you listen through. Go ahead and tweet at us as we are looking for more listener interaction. You will see a lot of the same things on the different social media platforms, but we also use them to post different content as well. So go ahead and find us on all of those different sites so you don't miss out. We'll see you on the next show.